Hello and welcome to tutorial number 5 on the feeling. Now, I appreciate it's been like more than a whole entire year since tutorial number 4 on the feeling, for which I apologise. I do plan to make more tutorials once this series is done, because I have a backlog of really cool ideas for things, but that's not important right now. One last thing though before we actually start: if anyone does give a shit, I've got a lot more stuff on SoundCloud than I have on YouTube. So I've got I think I've got 2 whole entire songs I've finished that weren't really good enough for YouTube. So if you care about that, they're on SoundCloud, that's all good. Probably in the description, maybe, I don't know. Open Citrus. Set operator 1 to a saw wave and pitch it down an octave, and set operator 2 to a triangle wave. FM 2 into 1 and 3 into 2, a bit like this. Give operator 1 a mod envelope which goes slightly down very quickly. Enable global pitch and give operator 1 a bit of a pitch LFO for some vibrato. Set operator 4 to a square wave, 2 octaves down, and FM it into operator 2. Route operator 1 into filter 1 and disable its output, turn off the filter and give it a volume envelope, which goes down quickly. Give it a maximus. Disable the low band, use a double curve sort of upwards downwards compression shape and play with the pre and turn the attack up a bit. Turn up the high tension slightly. Add a transient processor and turn the attack and release knobs about so. Add a reverb 2 to taste. Add another huge reverb. Turn its mix level down and automate it up between the notes in the playlist. So, this tutorial is going to be on the main lead, which is this bad boy. Or should I say bad boys, because if you look in the pattern, you'll see it's actually a layer of 4 different leads. And I will put them all in one by one now. So you can see that 4th one's a bit of a banger. Anyway, point is, this tutorial is going to be on this first lead right here. So this lead was actually originally a growl, or not really a growl, but sort of a voicey ya kind of FM thing in Citrus. So if I take off the reverb, pitch it down an octave, and then get rid of the vibrato, and assign the FM modulation to the X knob, you'll hear it's kind of a vowely FM thing. You'll also hear that it sucks, which is why I decided to obviously slap some reverb on it, get rid of the modulation, give it some vibrato, and pitch it up an octave. So now I'll talk about how I actually made it. So the first thing I did is basically just pitch operator 1 down an octave. Because by default, for some reason, all the operators in Citrus are turned up to 2 times, which is basically an octave up, which for a bass is not really what you want. Anyway, so after just pitching it down an octave, it was a matter of turning it to a saw for no reason, just purely arbitrary. And then FM it to kind of this sort of shape. Operator 2 is a triangle. Operator 3 is also... no, operator 3 is a sine. And that's all I did. Now the settings in FM are always very fiddly, so to get it exactly right, you'll have to sort of mess with these to sort of get it perfect, but I'm not going to waste too much time on that right now. So if it doesn't sound the same, that's probably why. You just need to mess with these knobs a bit. So the next thing I did was have a mod envelope which goes very slightly down like that to sort of get a sort of sharp attack to make the... So if I do it like this, right, there's a pretty obvious big click at the beginning there. I just wanted that but a little more subtle. So the next thing I did was put some vibrato on it, and the best and basically only way to do vibrato in Citrus is to just use a pitch LFO like that. So it's just a matter of deleting all the points except the loop end, because if this isn't set to loop end here by clicking this, then the note will continue to the end of this line here even if you've let go of the key, and that's annoying. So you set this to loop end so that it always stops as soon as you let go. Why that happens I don't know, but never mind, I can't really bother to work it out. So engage tempo right here and then just turn up the speed to whatever the hell you feel like. It sounds like shit, I hear you say. Well, let me explain to you why that is. That is because I have not turned on global pitch here. And what this switch does is makes it so that any pitch envelopes and LFOs and stuff like that you do on operator 1 will apply to all the other operators. So now all the operators are all having vibrato at once, because what was happening before is operator 1 had vibrato and the other two didn't, so it was all messed up. That sounds about the right speed. And I could spend ages having a tiny finicky little thing here to get it just right. What you could do instead is turn down this pitch envelope knob. So you see here it says pitch envelope LFO amount. That's exactly what it is basically. Nice. Now the next thing to do is a little bit of RM to make it grittier. All I want to do is give it a sort of choppy kind of quality, but obviously faster than that, right? So the way to do that, I suppose, is to take a square wave, turn it down quite a lot, and then RM everything into there. So this is the knob I happened to turn on that particular day. I'm just going to check back with the original just to see what octave this was at, because it might not have been this. Oh, that was definitely it, yeah. No need to check back with the original. This is absolutely identical. I have nailed this sound. This is exactly the same. Now the final thing to do in Citrus is to route everything through the filter. And the reason why I do that is because in the filter you see you have a volume envelope right here, which I've accidentally turned on. And the reason why we want to use this is because otherwise we'd have to copy the same volume envelope to every single operator if we wanted them all to have a volume envelope. But instead, a little trick is you can see that operator 1 is the only one going out right now. If I instead put that through the filter, let the filter go out, turn this off, now everything is going through the filter, and if I click off here to turn the filter off, it sounds exactly the same. But everything is now going through the filter, so I can use this volume envelope to put an envelope on the volume of every single operator at once with one envelope, which is good. You can see all I've done is no attack, no release, very short decay, and a sort of medium sustain, so that it gives it a sort of like an attack click, a sort of transient at the beginning. And that is it for the actual synth. That is it for Citrus. Now we move on to the effects. Now the first effect was a Maximus, and the very first thing I did was turn off the low band because I don't need it at all. I guess the reason why I use Maximus here is because I'm trying to use, well, A, use Fruity plugins wherever possible, and B, stop slapping OTT on everything. So what I did was, after turning the low band off, turn the mid band to a double curve shape. Now I'm not sure if I've talked about this already, but this is actually pretty much what OTT is doing as far as I can make out. So basically anything above a particular, so anything up here is being turned down, and anything above this little tension point basically in volume is being turned down, anything below it is being turned up. So what you want to do with this sort of thing is just mess with the pre and post amount. To try and get the pre, I suppose, about in the middle here, I guess. and then just mess with the poster text. I'm just going to leave it where it is, I guess. It's just a gain knob, it doesn't really matter that much. And then mess with the attack, because if you have a slow attack, what happens is it comes in really loud, like bang, and then takes a sort of delay because of the attack is quite high, takes a little while to turn it down to compensate, so you end up with a sharp bang attack at the beginning. Like that, and I think that's what gives like a very heavy compressor that nice click at the beginning of a sound. And all I did on the high band is just turn the tension up slightly. So before the Maximus, after. It's actually extremely subtle, but never mind. Didn't touch anything in the master. That's all there is to this Maximus. After this, I had a transient processor, which basically looked like this. And something that strikes me about this is it does nothing. Doesn't make any difference, does it? I can barely hear it at all, but never mind. That's what I did on the original, but I suppose you could just not do that if you really wanted to. Finally, I have a reverb. Don't really need to talk about this. Nothing special going on. Just reverb it however the hell you feel like it. The very final thing to talk about is the last effect. So to do this, I'm going to open the lead and copy the notes just to demonstrate something. I'm going to create a new pattern off the end of the project somewhere. And paste these notes on it. So I've now got the lead duplicated. What I always like to do is, because if you have, hang on, let me copy the drums as well. If you have a lead playing a melody like this, basically you end up with this happening. So have a listen to this. This is a really boring and annoying sort of awkward silence. It's like da 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 da. And it's like, well, what the hell do I put in this bit to fill in this gap? It's like a really long bit of silence. Well, have I got the solution for you, my friend? Just have a big ass reverb. Turn the mix level all the way down. Init song with this position, just to make sure it stays down. And have a little automation clip that looks like this. I do this all the time. I've talked about it 5 million times. And then we have something like this. Like that. So you'll hear that in the original somewhere. Particularly here. So that is that for the first lead of the leads. There are 3 more leads to go. Other than that though, that just about does it for this tutorial. Sorry for having it be so incredibly long since I made the last one. Sorry for probably rambling for an incredibly long time in this one. And see you in the next one.